don't know what your experience of church is, what traditions you've been part of, but do you ever feel that you just don't connect? Like everybody else seems to be getting something and connecting with something that you're just not. There was a little while ago, a few years ago, that was really irritating me. I was in these services, a bit like this. And everybody was buzzing, but I was bored. It felt a bit like watching a comedy show with people that have just got a different sense of humour to you. I'm not taking anything away from that style of worship music. I've been involved in a whole load of church music myself. I mean, if you're loving God and you're loving more like God, crack on. But for me, at that time, I was getting irritated by this lack of connection. And around that time, I went on a retreat and had an epiphany. And just a side note about epiphanies. This whole week we're talking about wow moments. But the word epiphany doesn't mean new big thing. It means arrival. Literally means arrival. And you arrive at one point, one big moment, but you get there over a long time. Okay? It's by our experience of the world, our experience of God. And so if you are somebody who doesn't have these big crazy Damascus Road flash in the sky moments and these big realizations, then that's normal. That's totally normal. You're the same as everybody else. And this retreat was in a place like this. I was out in the countryside, just me in a tent, a whole load of trees, bonfire. It was gorgeous. I loved the simplicity of it. I was used to, at the time, leaving the house and thinking, right, I've got my wallet, I've got my phone, I've got my keys, great. Whereas there, I left the tent and I thought, right, I've got my Bible, I've got a bottle of water, I've got a penknife. I just loved that simplicity. And just before I went, I met up with somebody about this time away, this retreat, and they told me to read Ephesians and to look out for this one particular phrase. It's a phrase that comes up several times, especially in that first chapter, that we are for the praise of God's glory. And that person asked me to think about the question, what does it mean for me to be the praise of God's glory? So I had that going around my head the whole time that I was there on this retreat, and I'd be going off on walks in the woods, walking along the river, all that sort of thing. And it was a time of year when you could just pick fruit off the trees. There were apples, there were plums ripe, just picking it off. Absolutely beautiful. So there I was watching the birds, making fires at night, all of that. At one time I was sitting by the fire, just me and a beer, and in the middle of a kind of orchard area, and sitting there, suddenly this barn owl came in and swooped right over my head, kind of uplit by this fire, and it was just beautiful and perfect and gorgeous. And I was like, I love this. And in these moments, you can call it joy, you can call it createdness or connectedness. And then I thought, how about we call that the praise of God's glory? So praise and worship. I mean, worship's just giving worth to something, acknowledging something's worth and saying it or doing something about it. And you can do that in any way. So to be for the praise of God's glory is about noticing the worth of God, the very ground of our being. And it's about becoming more and more like our true nature. And so that includes all our traits and our preferences and loving the things that you love, all of that. But deeper even than that, our truest nature is simply as the beloved creatures of God. And we connect with that. However we connect with that. And we resonate and we hum inside. I think that's called joy. And then comes the desire to share, to make all the world more resonant and in line with its truest nature as the beloved creation of God. So that means justice and fairness and dignity and love and living in balance with the rest of the natural order. Freedom for the oppressed, food for the hungry, all of that. The world right is glorious. People have these visions of heaven on earth, proper wholeness and fairness and beauty. And that is something of God's glory. And the praise of God's glory is loving it when we see it and making it when we don't. For me, that began with a beer in a bar now. So I'm just going to walk home through the woods and leave that as time for you to reflect and pray, asking you, what does it mean for you to be for the praise of God's glory?